Welcome, Truth Seeker. Whether you arrived here by accident or destiny, know this. What you're about to hear might shake everything you thought you knew about creation. You've heard of Adam. You've heard of the Jinn. But before both, there were ancient beings forgotten by time, erased from most books, yet whispered about in ancient Islamic texts. Their names? Al-Han, Al-Ban, Al-Khan, and Al-San. These were not angels. They were not humans. They lived, ruled, fought, and shed blood on earth long before mankind existed. Ibn Kathir, one of the most respected scholars in Islamic history, mentions them in Al-Bidya wa Al-Nihaya, Book of Beginnings and Endings. And what we're sharing with you today is not fiction, not fantasy, and not our invention. This is the topic as we found it, after deep digging into classical texts and interpretations. We didn't add a single thing beyond what's recorded. So prepare to go deep into a story older than Adam, older than the Jinn, a story where even the angels questioned God's decision to create man. Bring your coffee, sit back, and stick around until the end of the video, because we'll reveal a bold theory connecting archaeological discoveries with these ancient, shadowy beings. Everything you'll hear in this video comes from what we've researched and compiled. We added no baseless inventions or fantasy, only sourced interpretation and factual hypotheses. Welcome to Unleash Facts, the place where history's secrets, unsolved mysteries, and mind-blowing truths come to light. Imagine a time when the earth was not ruled by humans, nor even by the Jinn. Long before Adam walked the land, and long before Iblis fell from grace, there were beings called Al-Han and Al-Ban. They were the first to inhabit earth, not mythical spirits, but powerful, ancient races that lived, thrived, and ultimately perished, leaving behind a legacy of bloodshed and rebellion. These weren't just metaphors. According to Islamic scholar Ibn Kathir, many classical scholars believe the Han and Ban were real, destructive entities, not merely legends. They roamed the earth with free will, and they spilled blood without mercy. They were not tasked with worship, not mentioned in the Quran as beings created to serve God, unlike the Jinn and humans. So the question arises, were they ever meant to worship, or were they simply wild, doomed creations? Their chaos didn't go unnoticed. Allah, in his wisdom, commanded another race, the Jinn, to wage war against the Han and Ban. This wasn't just a battle of swords. It was a cosmic shift in Earth's history. The Jinn, more powerful, more cunning, and equipped with abilities like invisibility, flight, and rapid travel, hunted them down. They didn't show mercy. They cleansed the earth with fire and power. The Han and Ban were either driven to extinction or driven underground. But the story doesn't end there. Centuries later, when Allah informed the angels of his plan to create a new being, a Khalifa, a vicegerent on earth, the angels responded with hesitation. Will you place upon it one who causes corruption and sheds blood? But how could they know this? Had they seen such bloodshed before? Many scholars argue this wasn't a guess. It was a reference to what the angels had already witnessed, not from humans, not from Jinn, but from those ancient beings, the Han and Ban, who spilled blood and corrupted the earth long before Adam's clay had dried. This line of reasoning opens a door to one of the most mind-bending ideas in Islamic eschatology, that earth has been a stage for multiple civilizations, each one rising and falling before the final and chosen one, humanity. And if you think this is just metaphorical, think again. In 1994, scientists in Ethiopia discovered skeletal remains estimated to be over 4.4 million years old, far older than any human civilization. Could these bones be the remains of Al-Han or Al-Ban? Were these not primitive ancestors as Darwin's theory claims, but rather forgotten races, beings not bound to human evolution, but to another divine plan altogether? Modern science calls them hominids. Islamic tradition might call them pre-Adamic beings. And that subtle difference changes everything. Because if these creatures existed before the Jinn and before man, then Earth has secrets buried deeper than we ever imagined. Secrets of war, rebellion, and divine judgment. Secrets that challenge everything we thought we knew about creation. Secrets that may still linger in the very stones beneath our feet. After the annihilation of Alhan and Alban, Earth did not lie in silence. It was the Jinn who inherited the land, not as slaves, but as rulers. They built kingdoms, raised empires, and expanded across the globe with a power that shook the very soil beneath them. Unlike humans, the Jinn were created from smokeless fire, fierce, swift, and nearly invisible to the naked eye. Their dominion was long. Some say it lasted thousands of years. They were given a chance to lead, a chance to live in peace. And they failed. At first, the Jinn prospered. Some worshipped God, others acted justly. But over time, corruption spread among them like a disease. Many began to rebel, intoxicated by power and blinded by arrogance. They practiced forbidden magic, broke divine laws, and enslaved weaker Jinn tribes. Some even began to claim divinity for themselves. Their leader during this time was Iblis, a Jinn of immense knowledge and worship. He was not yet cursed. In fact, Iblis was so righteous that he was allowed to ascend to the ranks of the angels, not as one of them, but among them. He stood in the highest of celestial councils, respected for his piety. But as the Jinn spread bloodshed on earth, Allah's decree came swiftly. The divine order was given. The earth must be cleansed again. And so the angelic armies descended. They weren't like any army the world had seen. These were divine warriors, led by the archangel Jibril, riding creatures of light, wielding powers far beyond mortal comprehension. It was not a war. It was a purge. Entire cities were reduced to ashes. Towers of pride crumbled. And those Jinn who survived were exiled to the farthest reaches of the earth, into deserts, into oceans, and into the dark places where light dares not go. But Iblis was spared. Why? Because he did not take part in the bloodshed. He remained in the heavens, in obedience, climbing the ranks of piety. Yet deep inside him, something festered, pride. Pride that he was created from fire, while Adam, soon to be created, would be shaped from clay. This set the stage for the cosmic rebellion that would change the fate of all creation. But before that moment, before the prostration that would split the heavens in defiance, we must understand what Iblis knew. For he had seen the rise and fall of ancient races. He had watched the earth run red with the blood of Alhan, Alban, and his own kind. He had survived judgment once, and now stood in the presence of angels, believing himself superior, immortal, and unchallenged. That arrogance would not only lead to his fall, it would mark the beginning of mankind's greatest test. And the earth, once again, would become a battlefield, not just of war, but of faith, temptation, and destiny. The earth had been scorched and purified. The blood of ancient races dried into dust. The Jinn, once mighty rulers, now cowered in hidden places, banished to caves, oceans, and desolate lands. And in this silence, a new decree echoed across the cosmos. Indeed, I will place upon the earth a successor. Quran, Surah al-Baqarah, 230. The angels heard it first. This was no ordinary creation. Allah would fashion a new being, Adam, from clay, molded with divine care, and infused with the breath of life. A creature unlike any other, weak in body, yet strong in will, limited in lifespan, yet infinite in potential. But the angels were astonished. Will you place upon it one who causes corruption and sheds blood, while we glorify you with praise? They remembered the chaos of the Jinn, the horrors of ancient rebellions. And yet, Allah answered with a statement wrapped in divine mystery. I know what you do not know. So the creation began. From the soil of every color and texture, black, white, red, soft, hard, Adam was shaped. His form lay lifeless for a time, and during this period, Iblis observed. He circled the body of Adam with growing contempt, tapping on the hollow chest. What is this creature made of clay, weak and fragile? If I am ordered to bow to it, I shall never do so. At that moment, Iblis' arrogance bloomed into open defiance, though he hadn't yet spoken it aloud. Then came the moment the heavens trembled. Allah breathed his spirit into Adam. Life surged through the clay, and with it came speech, thought, and the most dangerous gift of all, free will. Adam was taught the names of all things, knowledge that even the angels did not possess. When Allah presented these names to the angels and asked them to describe them, they replied, "Glory be to you. We have no knowledge except what you have taught us." And then the command was given, prostrate to Adam. Every angel, without hesitation, fell in submission, except one, Iblis, the Jinn who had walked among angels, who had witnessed ages pass and civilizations fall, stood upright. He refused. "I am better than him. You created me from fire and created him from clay." This moment shattered the celestial peace. Iblis had not only disobeyed, he had challenged divine wisdom. He had committed the first act of pride in the face of truth. Allah expelled him from the heavens. "Get down from paradise, for it is not for you to be arrogant in it." But Iblis did not beg for forgiveness. Instead, he made a terrifying request. "Then give me time until the day they are resurrected." And Allah granted it. Thus began the eternal enmity between mankind and Shaitan. A war not of swords and armies, but of whispers, illusions, and deceptions. A battle to corrupt the children of Adam, as he once corrupted the Jinn. And Adam? He was placed in paradise. With him was created Hava from his rib to be his companion. But Shaitan followed them, scheming in the shadows. He had one goal, to drag Adam down as he had fallen. And as you may already know, he succeeded. But how he did it, and what it cost mankind, is a tale filled with secrets most people have never been told. Adam and Hava walked in the gardens of paradise, a realm of beauty beyond human imagination. Rivers flowed beneath golden trees, fruits hung low in abundance, and peace filled every breath. Here there was no hunger, pain, or sorrow. They were clothed in light, honored as the pinnacle of divine creation. But they were given one command, one single boundary in an otherwise limitless paradise. Do not approach this tree, lest you become among the wrongdoers. Surah Al-Baqarah 235. Allah did not specify the type of tree. It was a test, not of curiosity, but of obedience. But Shaitan had not forgotten his vow. Driven by envy, he plotted to mislead the very beings whose existence had cast him out of divine grace. He could not confront them directly. So he whispered. In a disguise, unseen and unrecognized, he began planting doubt. He did not command, he suggested. He did not lie openly. He twisted the truth. "Shall I show you the tree of eternity and a kingdom that never decays?" It wasn't a tree of poison, he claimed, but a tree of power, of immortality, a shortcut to greatness. He swore by Allah, falsely, to earn their trust. "Indeed, I am to you a sincere advisor." And slowly, that whisper took root. This is not just the story of a forbidden fruit. It's the first psychological war ever waged. Satan's tactic was not force, but manipulation. He knew the desires hidden in the human heart, even in its purest form. And Adam, father of mankind, made a mistake. He and Hava ate from the tree. Instantly, the veil of light was stripped from them. Their nakedness became visible. They scrambled to cover themselves with leaves from the very tree they were warned against. Regret flooded their souls. This moment, the first sin, was not born from rebellion, but from forgetfulness and vulnerability. Unlike Shaitan, who defied with arrogance, Adam and Hava erred with remorse. They cried out to their Lord, "Our Lord, we have wronged ourselves. If you do not forgive us and have mercy upon us, we will surely be among the losers." Surah Al-Araf 7:23. Allah accepted their repentance, but consequences were set in motion. The heavenly paradise could no longer be their abode. Earth would now become their home, a world of struggle, of pain, of birth and death, a place where the battle between truth and falsehood would unfold. And so, Adam and Hava were sent down, not as exiles, but as messengers, as leaders, as the first chapter in the divine story of mankind. They were not cursed. They were entrusted. Descend from paradise, all of you. And when guidance comes to you from me, whoever follows my guidance shall have no fear, nor shall they grieve. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:38. But as they descended, Shaitan descended too, not in defeat, but in vengeance. He now had a battlefield, and mankind would be his target until the end of time. What came next was not just the continuation of life, but the birth of civilization, conflict, and divine messages, all from the children of Adam. But even among those early children, darkness was waiting, a darkness that would spill the first human blood. The cycle of blood did not end with the annihilation of Al-Han and Al-Ban. It only paused. When the angels asked their question, "Will you place upon the earth one who causes corruption and sheds blood?" They weren't being rebellious. They were being honest witnesses, because they had already seen it. Not once, but again and again. In the rise and fall of beings like Al-Han and Al-Ban, who turned earth into a battlefield long before Adam ever opened his eyes. The earth had already absorbed the blood of those beings. They had ruled the land, formed kingdoms, and brought fire and war until the divine command swept them away. Their stories didn't survive in books. They were buried in forgotten valleys, in fossilized teeth and fragments of skulls, and in the memories of Jinn, who watched the skies burn during that ancient war. And then came Adam, a being made of clay, gifted a soul, honored by angels, a new creation, a chance to start again. But the echoes of the past had not faded. The curse of corruption was not locked in the bodies of Al-Han and Al-Ban. It had merely hidden, waiting. It returned the moment Adam's sons walked the same earth. Kabil and Habil, the first two sons, the beginning of humanity's bloodline, and also the beginning of humanity's violence. Kabil killed Habil, not because he was starving or desperate, but because of envy. A spiritual sickness, a poison that once corrupted entire nations of ancient beings, now infected the very first human family. And so, it began again. The first drop of human blood to touch the earth fell not in war, not in justice, but in jealousy. A brother's hand against his own blood. The same sins, the same rage, the same curse. It was as if history had rewound itself, as if the blood of Han and Ban had never dried, merely passed on resurrected within a new species. It's in this dark mirror that we begin to question, were Al-Han and Al-Ban just mythology? Or were they beings whose bones we now find and label as something else? Because today, archaeologists unearth ancient remains beings who stood upright, made tools, traveled across continents, and even buried their dead. Yet they're called Australopithecus afarensis, Homo habilis, Homo erectus. To science, they're evolutionary steps. To our spiritual history, maybe. They were the predecessors. Al-Han and Al-Ban may have been them, not fiction, not metaphor, but actual physical creatures, a different species. Not Banu Adam, but capable of building, ruling, and warring. The timeline fits. Lucy, the Australopithecus, lived 3.2 million years ago. Homo habilis appeared around 2.4 million years ago. Homo erectus, nearly 2 million. They roamed East Africa, used tools, possibly controlled fire. All of this millions of years before Adam's creation. So perhaps Allah didn't create Adam to continue evolution, but to interrupt it, to create something new. Not just a smarter being, but a soul-bearing one. A being capable of free will, of knowing divine commands, of moral responsibility. But we failed quickly. Instead of breaking the cycle, we repeated it. We made war. We formed nations. We raised idols. We forgot. And maybe that's why the earth is still soaked in blood. Because what ended with the extinction of Alhan and Alban didn't really end. It was paused, then repeated. Like a divine warning ignored. Like an ancient error coded into our very instincts. And if that's true, then we're not just descendants of Adam. We're spiritual successors to an even older history of violence. A history that keeps resurrecting itself. The fossils under our feet? They may not just be proof of evolution. They might be reminders of buried warning that if we don't learn from those who came before, we'll share their fate. Another intelligent species, wiped out and forgotten. And now, Truth Seeker, we leave you with a final reflection. The story you've just followed was a journey across time through ancient texts, forgotten beings, and echoes of a world erased before the rise of Adam. We've narrated it as it was collected from various Islamic sources, including the powerful accounts from Ibn Kathir and other scholars. The parts regarding Alhan and Alban were drawn from historical and religious traditions, not invented, not expanded, but presented as they were found. However, when we touched upon the archaeological discoveries, like Australopithecus afarensis, Lucy from 3.2 million years ago in Ethiopia, Homo habilis from 2.4 to 1.4 million years ago in East Africa, and Homo erectus from nearly 1.9 million to 110,000 years ago across Africa and Asia, we introduced a theory. That part of the video, and only that part, was a theoretical attempt to connect these ancient species to the mysterious Han and Ban beings. This theory is purely speculative and was not mentioned or supported by Ibn Kathir or other classical Islamic scholars. It is simply a possibility, one that arises from comparing fossil records with ancient narratives. Nothing more. We presented the full topic as we found it, without adding anything fabricated. But if this video made you reflect, expanded your awareness, or gave you a new view into the unseen past, then don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories and historical deep dives. And most importantly, feel free to correct us. If you see anything inaccurate or misquoted, reach out. We welcome knowledge, correction, and clarity. So now, bring your coffee, open your mind, because what you've just heard might be the first time this forgotten world ever reached your ears.